So before I turn it over to CJ, I am going to go through a little bit of information about the Women's Resource Center. The speakers today will be me. I'm Molly Saunders, the Client Services Coordinator at the WRC, and CJ, Bealls is Director of Talent Acquisition and Retention for Bealls Inc. We'll have our Q&A, and then we'll do a brief wrap-up and the survey. So the WRC has been empowering women in Sarasota and Manatee counties since 1979. We have 3 centers at this time: Bradenton, Sarasota, and Venice, and we serve over 9,000 clients a year. We offer over 7,000 hours of programming, and that includes things from resource advising, so helping people navigate local resources for things like housing, food, medicine, and other vital sources. We have low-cost mental health counseling, career services, our career closets, which we're probably best known for at all of our locations, where you can come get clothing for work, for interviews, for life, for free twice a year. We have educational workshops and programs. We also have our scholarship program, which is an annual way for us to support women who are pursuing higher education. And we have legal, financial consultations through a variety of programs. Highly recommend you visit our website, mywrc.org, subscribe to our emails, and you can learn more about all of these. But what you are probably most interested in are our career programs, because you're here for our Career Connections, which is our monthly webinar series. We also offer career coaching, where you can meet one-on-one with a coach. He can help you with your resume, with interview practice, with learning how to best search for job openings. And we also, in complement with that, offer computer tutoring and training, as well as workshops like this one, where you can meet with local hiring organizations. So all that being said, we record these webinars and they're posted to our YouTube channel. So after the program today, you're welcome to go check out the whole playlist and share with your friends, anyone who you think might be interested. All right, so I am going to stop sharing my screen and turn it over to our guest speaker today, CJ.
Molly, thank you so much. Hello, everybody. I'm CJ, the Director of Talent Acquisition and Retention. Molly, can you see my screen? I just want to make sure that
Yes, you're good.
Thank you. Excited to be here today. When Molly reached out a couple of weeks or months ago, I live a life of service. I want to help. I want to do anything I can, and that's kind of why I got into a lot of the field of what I did. So happy to tell you more about Bealls. Happy to share a little bit more about me and how I always like to just be a contact to the community as best I can. So a little bit about me, just to start off. I mean, I've been doing recruiting for 20 years. Next month is going to be my 10-year anniversary with Bealls. So I've been with this company for a long time. Whenever I talk to people about the opportunities at Bealls, I try to be very transparent. You're not going to find anybody as biased as what I am to the company, the culture, and everything of what we've got going on, because to me, it's important everybody finds their work home. A job is a job. People can get a job anywhere, but doing it with people you enjoy and finding a mission that provides purpose and alignment is really important to me, for people to be able to find that at wherever they are in their career, whether it's a job, a career, a calling of what they find. So happy to share more about that. What really I think fuels me in this really is my mom. If this is going to be on YouTube, I'll say hi, Mom, because I'm sure she's going to go find this somewhere. But look, she was a teacher for 45 years. And what inspired me about, careers and people, really her being a teacher, a school founder, a wonderful mom, a principal. We know teachers are not always the most, compensated, but you would have thought she's the richest person in the world with how happy she was. She loved giving to people. She loved having her students. She left a legacy, so it really really paved me of seeing when people love their job, when people love what they do. It just makes me happy, so I'm happy to be here today to really talk about, not only this in the career, careers at Bealls and the Women's Resource Center. I won't go into this because Molly did a great job covering a lot of this, but that's really what made me excited not only to be here today. I'm born and raised in the Tampa Bay area. St. Petersburg is my home. So anytime there's a local, entity with a rich mission, really trying to find people to find alignment within their careers, I'm always happy to join. So excited to be here today, excited about the alignment between Bealls, the Women's Resource Center, and talking about careers. But to really talk about why I love my organization. Look, you can see that in the bottom right. 80% of our overall workforce is women. 46% of our executive team are women, starting with Tian Doyle, our president. Tian is somebody who really taught me a lot personally about the off-price game of what we do. And I'll tell you a little bit more about Bealls in our stores as we go through this process. But really the company, Tian being our president, she's been here, oh my goodness, 33 years, I want to say roughly at this point in time. A lot of tenure of growing this. I think when she joined from about 50 stores, ballparking it to 660 today and continuing to grow. Great culture, great company where we believe we're better together when we work together, collaboration, leadership. A lot of the talent of what we tend to find and hire that works at our corporate offices and even within our field, our stores, our distribution centers, that cross collaboration is a big thing. We want to make sure that we're staying on top of the game in terms of retail because it changes so frequently, with that vision of how we're going to outfit our guests and their families for less, really takes a team effort. So making sure we're working together, making sure that we're continuously pursuing all of our different solutions, recognizing that we're going to leave an impact on our communities, recognizing we're going to leave an impact on our environment. All of these are things about who we are, what we do, and why I personally love working for Bealls. I know a lot of people who have been here 20, 30, and some even 40 years, why they come and they stay. And even the practices of what people experience. These used to be called our values. We've really rebranded that to practices. Our CEO, Matt Bell, really is very passionate about culture and people and really has done a great job of establishing these practices of what we've had through a lot of his learnings and his transparency and his openness with our workforce. So you can see these things here. These are a lot of things of what we really value as an organization. If there's questions, by the way, I've got the chat pulled up. Feel free to. I can wait till the end for a Q&A, but if you got questions as we go along, it won't distract me at all. So feel free to participate. If you can't tell, I'm an extrovert, so I love feedback. Why people join Bealls, and I stress this a lot in terms of the important things when people find alignment. These are a lot of the reasons that people will find alignment with our organization. So if this is something you're looking for that you can resonate with, highly encourage you to consider Bealls. Location-wise, again, born and raised, I love being here. I think it's the best place in the world to live. I can't beat the sunshine. So we offer a lot of aspects in terms of entities, or I should say departments around our offices offer hybrid work. There are some departments that are on site 5 days a week. It all depends in terms of the workload, but we really do have aspects in terms of what we can offer people very humane schedules. People say work-life balance. I like to say harmony, within work-life harmony. So there's elements of that. Stability. You won't find a company that's been around for 111 years and is what I feel financially strong, debt-free, growing and opening new stores. They were about to sign a lease or at least open a store in a new state. We've seen a lot of that growth over the past few years of continuing to grow store count. Benefits, very comprehensive, very much supportive in terms of health and wellness in a lot of different ways that you can see on the screen if you want to read about it. At the end of this presentation, I am going to give you a QR code where to go to our website so you can see all of our benefits and all of our offerings, along with how to apply. We'll cover that for sure as we go along. Growth is a big thing. People want to continue to evolve. People want to innovate. People want to learn new skill sets. So growth does not always have to mean climbing a ladder and moving to a different position in our mind. We are very purposeful in terms of finding training and development, learning and development, whether that's in person, whether that is on our recorded on-demand learnings through our Bealls Learning Hub, whether it is virtual sessions where we can reach all 15,000 of our associates, as best possible to go through these both technical skills and soft skill learnings. So we very much invest in our associates and invest in our people. And then the connection. So again, I talked about this very early on, that connection with others who have that same purpose, who have that same passion and fulfillment. I think the mentality around here is we're all retailers. So we all want to find a way to contribute to where we can go back to the top there. And it talks about on the previous slide, outfitting the family for less. We really want to make sure that we are doing that because that's been the mission of the company since the first Bell family member 100 years ago. It's crazy to think about that. I don't see any questions, so I'm going to start moving to our departments, but if you got questions, feel free to ask and go along. What we're probably really known for is the product of what's on our floor, so I'll start with really two great leaders in terms of what we have, both Roselle Thomas and then Lisa Sorella. They're great partners of mine. They are really leading the merchandising and then the planning path. Roselle also has product development that falls under her. Roselle's been here since oh my goodness, 2010. It's probably on the slide. So she's really only known this organization starting as an hourly merchandise assistant, working her way fully up in terms of a senior vice president. So that is one aspect of growth that I can showcase very clearly through someone like Roselle, who's been a great success of joining our organization, been a great leader, has gotten a lot of people on career paths. I can't speak enough highly about our leadership. And then Lisa. Lisa is somebody who's had a very diverse career, whether it's going to be Walmart, whether it's been Burlington, whether it's been with Five Below, Lord and Taylor. Lisa's got a very big, diverse perspective of a lot of retailers that she's bringing to the merchandising side. So these are the individuals who really have the largest impact in terms of the product of what's on our floor. People can join as a merchandise assistant, like I talked about with Roselle. That is on that side. Career paths here across buying and planning do tend to go cross-pollinate. Even on the product development side, there's people who've been in the buying side who've gone over to there. There's people who've been in product development going over to the buying. So if you ever wonder how product gets on the floor, and if you ever have a career pursuing something along those lines, whether it's the financial side or the aesthetic side, this is really the opportunity here in terms of what we have. These are two of our largest departments of what we have at our corporate offices, where people can have a real exciting merchandising path. Any questions?
CJ, can you talk a little bit more about what like a merchandising assistant, like the entry level position, what that would entail?
Absolutely. So this is a really diverse and important, very important position for our organization to come in and being a merchandise assistant, they assist our merchants. So they will do anything from communicating with a vendor when one of our buyers is in market. They tend to travel roughly about 50% of the time. Given the fact that we're in the off-price industry that turns the floor every 30 to 60 days or so, they will talk to vendors while they're out of market. They will make sure that certain orders are being processed, that they're on the way. They submit the invoice in terms of what's going to be there. They check for accuracy to make sure that it's coded right, that it's going to the right distribution center. They could do anything in terms of if they get a sample in terms of furniture to put it together. They could do anything in terms of helping a buyer arrange things for their presentation on their seasonal strategy, some vision boards of what they have. And as they go along, they can move from a merchandise assistant to we have a training program for people to develop their career. We have people who might go straight to assistant buyer on occasional times. They might go to the planning side in terms of an allocation position, but it really is that foundational merchandise assistant is that foundational entry level type position. But sometimes they do have people who like to be career merchandise assistants, meaning that could look like somebody who has been working at an air conditioning company or a pest control company who manages the schedules for the technicians and deal with the financial processing and invoices from a customer standpoint, but really has that like servant mindset of saying, hey, I'm going to go help this person out. I'm going to be there to support them for running a successful business. There are people who've been in that position for a number of years because they choose to be, because they like the aspects of the job. They like the fulfillment in terms of what it does. So it's not a position where you have to go be a buyer one day or a planner one day. There's many people who love being in that position and can have their own fulfillment within that, or it is a catalyst to go and move up in the org chart between buying and planning. So it's a really interesting role. But it is, again, in our environment that is very fast paced and very engaging. There are a lot of hats that this person could wear. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you. That's awesome. That sounds like a really cool opportunity with a lot of growth potential.
It is. And I will say, like, we have a number of people who come in and get hired on an annual basis because we have people who move from a merchandise assistant, even not even up that. They might go into finance, they might go into real estate. I've seen people go into marketing. So it tends to be a position that can really be a bench line of strength for a lot of people. Oh, look at that. See, behind the scenes, I'm getting a reboot here. I'm going to redo that later so my IT team does not turn off our presentation. Any other questions, Molly?
So we do have one in the Q&A that popped in. Elena had asked, well, she says, thank you for a great presentation. So you're doing great. And then she says, do you offer any type of part-time flexible schedules for working moms with small children. She's saying her availability is typically like 8 a.m. to 2 p.m.
8 a.m. to 2 p.m. So there are very few at the corporate offices, but I can talk about within our stores and some local aspects where there will be select flex times where we need people for certain shifts to be able to go in, and maybe it is an 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. Maybe it is that opening in terms of the stores. So our stores really have a lot of those opportunities. From time to time, there will be certain shift schedules, whether it's in distribution center or other locations. Let's say a flex e-commerce coordinator, where they get a handful of hours a week and they can really listen to applicants and candidates as they're interviewing, say, hey, if this is your schedule, we'll listen, but we can't promise that that schedule would be. So it tends to be a unicorn at the corporate offices, to be very transparent, but it doesn't mean it's impossible. It's really where our stores would have that opportunity when you're looking for specific shifts that I would highly encourage, and I'll give you the QR code at the end. When you're looking for that real work-life harmony, stores are going to be a great place to take a look if you've got those types of specific needs for your family.
So that's great to hear.
Cool. Anything else? Thank you, Molly. Okay, please let me know because I'm not seeing the comments in there. So if there are any, Molly, please, I would appreciate you having my back on that one.
Absolutely. And Elena says thank you.
Cool. Thank you, Elena. Okay, so a couple of other great women who lead our organization in terms of Karen Beebe and Allison Smith. Again, very, very unique perspectives here in terms of Allison's been with the company for 20-something more years, has had a great career success in terms of joining us from in 2000, working her way up now to the Senior Vice President of Finance and Accounting, being our Chief Financial Officer. Allison's great. She's so relatable, so human in terms of what she does, really takes care in terms of her team. So if you are into finance, accounting, financial analysts, doing accounts payable, anything that you would think in terms of tax and treasury, even actually loss prevention falls under Allison in ways, but I'll talk about that department a little bit later since it's so unique. Really a great chance. And Allison loves to also, give people opportunities to join the organization, look how they can continue to grow, how they can continue to learn. I think of someone in our organization like a Jennifer Cava. Jen was a local person who was looking for opportunities, joined our organization actually in the HR department, but went specifically to, I think it was USF Manatee, got her degree in accounting, and then made her transition over there. And I think has had 2 to 3 elevations, already within her short career here. So this is a great team that really, I got to say, the best at having potlucks. I'm very jealous of the potlucks that they have, but very connected. So if you're looking for like a real finance, accounting, and a really good team fit, like finance is phenomenal to consider for this. And then Karen really leading our artificial intelligence, our cybersecurity, our infrastructure in terms of technology, anything from programming, anything from project management within the technology side. Like Karen really is a great retail experienced individual joining us in 2022, but having several other companies that she worked at, whether it's Chico's down in Fort Myers. I know she has several other retailers of what she worked for before bringing her wonderful perspective here. You talk about a talent leader. She backs her organization, man. She wants to make sure that not only they're successful, but they're able to hit their goals, that they have opportunities to advance their career. So typical, and I talked about a lot in terms of project management, software development, that network and infrastructure side, even the analytics side is really exciting. And she's got a team that really focuses on the e-commerce side too, Connie and that team. So it's a really robust and impactful thing when we talk about technology in this day and age. Karen's a great leader. You can find, by the way, I should have mentioned this earlier. Our CEO has a podcast out there, Matt Bell Legacy, about the Bealls legacy. Almost anybody who I'm talking about today, I'm pretty sure almost all of them that I talk have their own podcast on his channel that they've appeared as a guest. So if you're looking for even more information, the YouTube channel, Matt Bell Legacy, you can go find it. And you can even learn more about all of these individual leaders and the exciting initiatives of what they have, and even about our company and our culture there. So shout out to our CEO for his podcasts. Any questions about finance, technology, accounting?
Not so far, CJ, but I'll let you know.
Thank you. We'll continue going on. So Marketing, this is a huge one in terms of us because we've really focused on retelling our brand. I don't know how many of you have lived in Florida for more than 6 years, but really the past 6 years have changed Florida in a lot of ways. A lot of people moved here, and in my line of work, many people know how to say Bells, like Bealls Inc, Bells, the Bell family. But many people who come from out of state don't know who we are. They don't know how to pronounce our name. They say Beals. So it is Bells, in case you were wondering. But Liana's really been tasked with really making sure that as we move into, becoming even a larger off price. When I say off price, the vision of that, Ross Dress for Less, TJ Maxx and all of their subsidiaries, Burlington stores, that we play in that same space in terms of the off price, the everyday low value type of that. So Liana's really been tasked since joining us back in 2024 to telling that story, making sure that the people who have known Bells for a long time understand that, look, we're all one company. We have one loyalty program now. You can go to all of our stores and have that shopping experience from home centric, from Bells to Bells, Florida. Telling the story of in terms of, I love the campaigns of what she has put out for the past year and a half of, whether it's seasonal, whether it's going to be the holidays, whether it's back to school, about the little things matter, like all these things she's been tasked with coming on board to really tell our story as an organization, to connect with those people. So marketing plays a huge role as we continue to grow, as we continue to expand. So it could be a brand marketing manager. It can be a credit and loyalty. She has the other side of the e-commerce side of actually putting the product on the website. We're one of the few off-price companies that actually has a successful website in terms of that. Photographers, social media, all of this tends to fall under the marketing side. The e-commerce side can be a copywriter, putting product on the website. Marketplace managers are ones that we've had in the past. Even pricing analysts are out there. So really different, diverse types of careers that fall all under Liana in terms of what we look for here. Molly, any questions about this?
Yes. What would be an entry-level position in marketing for a graduate with an associate's degree?
It's a great question. What I encourage, reach out to me directly, because that tends to change as the needs change. All of our teams, if you really look at it, and I think our marketing team might be about 40 people, so those opportunities for entry level, we're not going to have an internship program, I think, this summer, but we're going to really start looking at that in the future. Usually that is for upcoming graduates. I think they're junior, moving into their senior year. But when it comes to entry level positions, what I love, whether it's marketing or other departments, that merchandise assistant, where they might take somebody with a marketing background and move them into marketing when an entry level position comes in, because we love to promote from within. So if you're looking for marketing, there are often times we hire people with a marketing degree who start within the merchandising assistant position, and they will learn the business. They will learn how, product flows through, really the business initiatives before they go over to marketing in a future state. But occasionally we will need, let's say, a coordinator or a copywriter or something that pops up from time to time. And generally, I've already talked to people, or a member of my team's talked to people, and I can go to Liana or the hiring managers themselves and say, here's so and so, they're exploring. And then when we have the opening, I tend to most times post the job, but at least we have people who are already interested in local and Bells that I can get something going on. Then at least a member of my team can come back to you and say, best chance to get foot in the door first is going to be the merchandise assistant position. And from there, you can explore the opportunities with marketing as they come about. So we really do focus heavily on internally promoting people. That's both at corporate and in our stores. Our stores are very much passionate about internal promotions. So if there's not an entry level opening consistently, and there really isn't one that is consistently opening, I try to find the people who are passionate about certain fields, giving them an opportunity to join an entry level that is learning the business, and then internally looking at that one an opening, if that helps.
Yeah, thank you. I think that's really good information.
Cool. Any other questions out there, Molly?
Not yet.
I like the
Not
yet. That's the growth mindset. Not yet. I love that. So we do have a number of other departments. I don't want to spend too much time going into every single one at that robust detail, but I figured I'd lay out really the rest when it comes to corporate, and then we're going to talk about stores and distribution centers. But recently, we've had what's traditionally called human resources. We call the people department. I'm happy to be a member of the people department, working in talent acquisition. Retention falls under me from a corporate standpoint. So that really is listening to our associates, seeing what they want to do to grow, helping them find that opportunities and connecting them, but also identifying where their people might be at risk and how we can help support them. Training and development, heavily, invested in terms of what we do. I talked about that a little bit earlier, but that team runs our internship program, our manager training program, both at corporate and in the field. Man, they do so much training every single year that is done through a number of platforms that, hours and hours is consumed every year by our associates. So we heavily invest in training and development. But even the building, corporate services, the corporate maintenance side, it falls under this. Payroll, benefits, travel, all these different things in terms of what we do to actually impact our people, and love working for this team. Loss prevention, keeping people safe is a thing. Real estate and construction, I would say, we're opening anywhere. We've had it on the radar recently to talk about opening 40 to 50 stores a year. We're probably sitting at about 20, 30 right now. That's going to continue to grow as we look into new states and where we can continue to expand. That's even going to be further, getting into these successful markets that we are seeing so much success with. That could be, Arizona, that could be Texas, that could be other areas where we're really taking a look at continuing to grow that we already exist. So a lot is going on their side. And as a matter of fact, this team, when we had those hurricanes a couple of years ago, not only were they going through a recent rebrand, they were opening new stores, they were fixing some of those stores as they were closing down. So it's a mighty team within real estate and construction that does a lot of things for our organization. That is exciting. Store operations. So this is the team from a corporate standpoint that works directly tied within our stores. They have the visualization of what goes on the floor. If you know Tiffany that works at our company, great energy. I love Tiffany. But great communications in terms of making sure the stores are set up for success. Brandon and the team over there making sure that connection, they don't feel disconnected from corporate. So him, Brooke, Gil's our SVP over that area. They love their, store operations team, and anybody who's, working out in our stores, and it's like 14,000 people that are out there like that. So we love our store teams. Tell you more about that in a second. And then of course, supply chain, transportation, these are people who are working to actually make sure the product gets moved. Make sure it's going to arrive at its right destination, make sure it gets to the right store. So just the amount of product of what we move on an annual basis is insane. Those teams really focus on every strategy, every person, every application, everything that goes in there from a reporting standpoint too. A lot goes into running a retail business, and this is just high level overview from a corporate standpoint. Since we're local to the Bradenton area, a lot of people would have opportunities if you're looking to explore any of these. Any questions on this one, Molly?
You're good to keep going.
Cool. So this is the largest population of what we have in terms of our stores. Look, our stores, if you ever shop at our stores, go into our stores, oh, I love it. You can feel the energy of our associates and our people. You walk in there, they want to have a great guest experience. They have lived on this every guest leaves happy mindset for a number of years. I think our CEO really was foundational with that. So the experience within stores and the experience for our guests, we call them guests. They're not customers, they're guests, really is felt. And if you want to work in our stores, that passion for people, that guest experience in terms of what you have, they talk about wanting to deliver the deals for our guests, drive profitability. They are so fired up. We have had people here at the corporate offices, we've had offsite events, and the amount of energy that comes from working within stores. If you work in stores and you love energy, this is a great career for you. There are positions here that can be hourly store associate. That's a little bit what I talked about with the flexible scheduling that could be experienced within that. People can go to a lead supervisor. People can go to an assistant store manager. I talked about the manager training program. If you join that, and there's going to be positions out there currently and pretty consistently for the manager training program, you graduate from that and you go into an assistant store manager position after a certain period of time, should you meet all of that. So it doesn't mean you have to be an hourly associate, store associate, entry-level position for years. There's a chance to move up to supervisor, then there's a chance to move even further up the chain. We have a lot of opportunities. Look, it's really helpful when people want to relocate. If you ever, come from an Ohio, or if you come from Arizona and you're living here now and you're open minded to saying, well, I'd love to relocate back to that area one day. This is a phenomenal opportunity to have a nationwide off-price retailer continuing to grow that provides career opportunities nationwide for you if you ever want to consider that. But if you're like me and never leaving the state of Florida, there's great opportunities here, especially since it's close to our corporate offices for people at any one of our chains. And really the biggest difference between these, just to give you a little bit, and it's on the screen there. Like, look, we love the outdoor style at Bealls, Florida. That live life local of what we've talked about in the past, but it's really like the color palette's very specific to Florida, the breathable fabric specific to Florida, the brands of what we put out there are very specific to Florida. Focusing in home and apparel. Kids stuff is great there. My mom still shops at these stores and bring my kids their clothing and their apparel all the time. But Bealls is really a lot more of the nationwide trend, the ongoing trend, the treasure hunt, if you really feel it that way, of going in and not knowing what you're going to find on a week to week basis because we're constantly updating the product. But that's going to be just general trend. So if you go into those stores, you really like having customers come in and looking at everything and figuring out the deals and helping them find really that great value and giving them that experience. It's a great way to do that. And then if you haven't heard of Home Centric, some people have, some people haven't. My wife, she says her favorite store is Home Centric. Great home. I mean, it pretty much says it within itself. Anything from even pet is a huge area within the home, but anything of what you would imagine is a typical and traditional home type store in terms of the product and everything of what's going in there is great. A lot of ones around town, a lot of options. You can find all of our locations. I'll give you the career site, but if you just Google it, you can find them too. Great opportunities within our stores that can lead to nationwide opportunities for anybody when it comes to career growth and advance or just staying here locally. Molly, any questions on this in terms of store careers?
Not right now, but I will let you know.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. And then the distribution centers. So we have a few distribution centers locally in the area. If you have worked in a distribution center, you're pretty familiar with it. If you haven't, it's definitely this. I mean, we have a mega warehouse. It's amazing. I walk in and it's like a city within itself. Product is flowing. People are using this. We've got some robotics out in our distribution center in Texas, but here locally, there's still a lot of upgrades in terms of the floor of what they're doing. People are moving boxes. People are making sure that the forklifts are running. Then you can ascend one of our leaders, Vicente. He actually started because he was a minor league baseball here for the Pirates and found a job here, post career. He's worked his way up. He loves it. Dude gives the best high fives. But loves working with the people. They come in fired up every day. I know that the leader over there, Carissa Radcliffe, makes sure that the people feel appreciated. The other leaders within the area really run a great operation, making sure that the product is moving, the flow is going. So a lot of options in terms of, I think, shifts that can be available there. Days have different options. You can see the titles of the position. I'll be very transparent. This is not one that falls under my direct recruiting efforts, so I don't know as much detail there. All these other ones I work directly with. But really checking all that out, and an opportunity to work in a distribution center can absolutely be had, and careers at our distribution centers can absolutely be had. So, how to apply to Bealls? I know this was one of the questions Molly said to be prepared for. I'm trying to help out as best I can. So I put up a QR code, and if you want to scan that, you can go there. I mean, go to beallsinc.com. You can go to beallsinc.com. You're going to be able to find everything there about our organization, but this is just a quick shortcut to get to our career site. You can learn more about our benefits. You can learn more about the opportunities. I'll give you some insight on this, because anything that's going to be a corporate position, you can contact me, you can contact one of my recruiters. All of our information is on the website. You don't even have to apply to a job. You just click on contact recruiter, send us your information. We'll be happy to review the resume, because you might look at our open jobs, not see many. I think right now we currently got about 13, 14 positions open at our corporate offices. Store wide, you're going to go here and it'll give you a link to our store positions, whether it's management or whether it's our hourly on the floor staff. The hourly on floor staff, actually, we implemented an artificial intelligence product a couple of years ago. I promise it's not a crazy robot, but what I love about this tool, and I want to give you the heads up about this, It actually starts like a chat with you. It asks you a couple of questions. Before we did this process took 45 days or so to hire a store person, a store level individual and working on an hourly schedule. Now, I mean, we can get somebody hired within 2 to 3 days because you go through a quick screening, you answer a couple of questions. You don't have to have a resume, but it's very helpful if you do have a resume. It'll ask you some of the basic screenings. If you qualify, it'll actually automatically give you times to go to the store and interview, depending on which position you're qualified for and applying for. If you don't meet the supervisor needs, but you go and apply for the hourly associate or the store associate, fantastic. We want to see you come to the store and interview and give you a really good experience, not leave you in a black hole. Because sometimes, and my heart goes out to this, when people are applying out there and they're not hearing anything back, and it's just being very vulnerable being an applicant out there looking for a job. We want to give you a better experience than that. So this gives you a quick answer, yes or no. And then if it's yes, it gives you a quick option to interview. And then that interview usually happens within days. You go into the store, you interview, and you get a quick answer on it. So we're trying to help out in terms of people who are out there looking for a great company, a great career, a great job. So that's the only thing that we have in terms of artificial intelligence from an HR standpoint, or I should say a recruiting standpoint. But any other application, whether it's going to be the distribution center, whether it's going to be the corporate offices, there will be traditional applications to fill out. But even then, I'm going to give you all my contact information in case you have a question, to just reach out to me directly and ask a question. I can connect you with a recruiter. For the marketing question, any entry level, candidate who's looking in the area, or anybody who's looking to change careers, you might not see that job. So just reach out to us because we want to try to help, especially knowing people are local. We want to try to help. And then I put it on here because, like I said it, you can reach out to me. Look, I love what I do. Love what I do. Love living a life of service that I talked about. So if you have questions, if you ever need somebody who is a resource about Bealls, about getting a job here, or even just connecting, just because one day maybe you might want to consider it, even if you're not looking today. I like to accept invites. I like to just answer questions. It is a very quick chat and a quick way to reach me. I might not get back to you right away, but like I promise, I try to stay on top of those for anybody who's looking for a change, looking for that fulfillment in life, looking for a great company to work for. Anything I can do to help, happy to. I'm happy to stick around for questions. I'm still not seeing any in my chat, but Molly, if you help me out with that, that'd be great. But whatever I can do to help, I'm here to help, and I'm happy to answer any other questions you guys have.
Thank you. And we will share these slides after the presentation. So you'll get a follow-up email with the slides and link to the recording on YouTube. So CJ has been very generous and made himself very accessible for us. And CJ, you had mentioned that there's like 800 people working in the corporate office. Is that true?
It's about 750. I may have said 800, but I think it's about
750.
yeah, and in a lot of different ways, and some of those I will say are not necessarily here at the corporate office every day, because they might be working a real estate job in a different region, or they might be our loss prevention team has regional people. Our store teams obviously have regional people. So while not all of them might be sitting within the office here, there's a sizable amount of people that sit within our corporate offices here, that sit within our distribution centers here in town. So a ton of opportunity for people.
So Elena wrote another comment. She is the vocational family advocate from Children's First, and she'd love to connect with you about career opportunities for the families that she works with.
Feel free to, again, you can scan the QR code, connect with me on LinkedIn, and we can certainly connect that way. More than happy to help. And I will say this, like oftentimes, I get a lot of people who will reach out and say, hey, I have a friend, or I have a, member of my family that is looking for a position. Send them this too. I mean, I just feel, as somebody born and raised here, I didn't know the corporate offices were here until I started, exploring and looking for new opportunities and identifying. I'm like, oh, Bealls is down in Bradenton. That's great. So like anything I can do to help anyone, more than happy to help.
Marion very sweetly says, CJ, you're doing great. She says, sorry, no questions, because you answered them all. I'm very impressed with your description of Bealls and its mission. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm going to go home after that because it's like I can't have a better ending to my day than that. So thank you, man.
That's, yeah, exactly. Can you talk maybe about, so it's the news about possibly people getting jobs within 2 to 3 days? That's amazing. I think that's really different from a lot of retail positions and what people expect. Um, can you talk about like what the beginning of that looks like once they get hired? Is there an onboarding? Do you have training?
Oh yes. So our training and development team for the stores really has done a great job of partnering on the experience, the candidate experience, the new hire experience, the onboarding experience. Everything is very strategic from that aspect. Let's start with stores. Because when they go on to our boarding, our store managers really do a great job, I think, of onboarding, making sure that people are well trained, they know where to go, they know how to enter in their time, they know the mission of the organization. They're going to get a real good understanding in terms of the operations within the store, how everything is laid out. Because again, an off-price, company is very different than a traditional retail or one of the big box stores. So it's got to have a time where people can acclimate and be onboarded. So they have, on-demand learning that they have set up for new hires within the stores. They have a lot of information that they provide. The store manager, the ASM on site will play a major part in making sure that people are successful. We've seen that they are doing a great job within not only their break rooms, but they're putting communication up to make sure that people have the resources of what they need, to understand the ongoings of communication within the company, the celebration in terms of milestones of what we have. We're big about appreciation and recognition. So you will see a board that has information about how many people have been with Bealls and what they're celebrating, welcoming new hires. So it is pretty comprehensive, especially from a store side, to make sure it is highly structured, making sure that people are providing everything of what they need at the new hire process and experience. When it comes to corporate, every department is really different. It really is, because there are going to be some, let's just say the technology team, we'll start there. Usually it is really honed in and targeted, saying, hey, we're looking for a person like this who has this experience. When you have that type of alignment of looking for experience within that, there is definitely still onboarding that you'll meet with my team, come in on paperwork, but that onboarding is going to look different from somebody that it's in marketing, or transitioning to a new career position or working within a different field where it's just different. I don't know how to say it. So there is very much still very similar things. There's going to be some on-demand learning. There's going to be some video learning. Here at corporate, we do a monthly new hire orientation, where members from the people team really lead and say, hey, as you join our organization, we want to make sure you know everything about the company. As what we can best tell you, it may not be everything, but trying to do the best we can of getting the information, talking about career progression, talking about safety and risk, talking about benefits, talking about the associate relations team. While I love our culture and I'm a big champion, it really is our associate relations teams that keeps the culture, making sure people aren't disrespecting each other or doing nefarious things. So they play a really big job about that. So we take that new hire orientation very seriously, making sure we keep that in person as best possible. And then a 60-day check-in at corporate really tends to happen, and I believe that happens in our stores too, having a chance to sit down through what we call the empowerment process, have open conversations of saying, here's what we expect, and here's where we're going to be successful. Here's how me as a leader is going to help you be successful. And that empowerment process, not only at 60 days, we have a mid-year check-in, which we're currently going through right now. And then we have an annual check-in as well. So a lot of communication to where we can talk about the onboarding experience. Isn't just the first day, isn't just the first week. It is continuously onboarding and continuously learning and continuously training that goes on for a long period of time. I would probably say throughout the organization, but what I know the most intimately is going to be here at corporate. So hopefully
Thank
that's
you.
hopefully that
Yeah, I think that kind of support is huge for people. And I think it's rare in a lot of retail organizations. Um, so there is someone anonymously wrote the question, when resumes come into HR and/or stores, do they go through an ATS system? And I said, I learned that the format has to be different to accommodate the ATS.
Yes, yes. No, it's a great question, especially what's going on in the industry where artificial intelligence is doing a lot more of the screening. But one of the things I'm very proud of is, if there's an application that is coming into the corporate offices, my team is looking at every application, and there are definitely an ATS in terms of where people go through and apply because it's just the system. But it's not necessarily one where we're saying like, hey, people are automatically ruled out or a human doesn't put an eyes on it because of certain quirks. So we try to be very intimate with the applications and the resumes of what we're reviewing, trying not to take too much of the human out of it. So Sean on my team reviews store managers, leaders, hourly corporate positions. Tanya on my team really manages a lot of the technology and finance, the merchandise process side. I manage buying and planning and a number of other positions throughout the organization. So they do a lot, we do a lot, but it's very human. So I can say, because I'm reading through the question a little bit, and you can help me if I'm not answering your question, but it really is focused on the candidate experience. To me is so important because you need to feel our culture from the very beginning, and you don't feel that if a bot or a process is not allowing us to look at people instead of just paper. So people aren't paper. Yeah, that's my big thing around it. I always say that people aren't paper. So when you put an application in, yeah, you'll fill out all the boxes and questions. But more times than not, yeah, a human's absolutely looking at your resume.
That's awesome. That's great to hear. I know that people are always trying to like optimize for keywords and everything. And so to know that an actual person is going to look at it is really awesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, and they said thanks, well expressed.
We have to focus on efficiencies. Every business has to, but I will say that, like I said, with the chatbot in terms of our stores and our partners at Chatter, it is now Rapid Hire. That company was recently purchased. There's still a large opportunity for people within stores to be able to walk in, just express they have an interest in a job. But like I said, even if you go through the artificial intelligence there, you're not required to have a resume. You just got to say, hey, I'm great with customer service, or, hey, I can fit that schedule, whatever it is that they're looking for. The last thing you want to do is hire you for a position where you're not available for the hours to be worked, so that really keeps it still very human of understanding everybody's different. Everybody's authentic themselves. One of our practices is all about, authenticity and compassion, so our hiring process has to have that too. And I think, everybody can grow and everybody can be better, but I'm really proud of, keeping it human.
Thank you. So I'm not seeing any other questions at this time. I'm going to give everyone like one more second if you wanted to put anything in. But as a reminder, once I close the webinar, if you stay in the window, you'll be directed to a brief survey. We'll send the results of the survey to CJ, and also for the Women's Resource Center, we'll be able to get your feedback, ideas. Feel free to tell us if there's any speakers that you're interested in hearing from in the future, and the type of content you're interested in, as well as how things went today. We're really grateful for everyone who was able to attend.
Yeah, Molly, thanks for the invite. I appreciate you giving me the chance to be here.
Awesome. All right. So with that, I think we'll close out. Thank you so much, CJ. And I hope, yeah, that everyone has a wonderful week.
All the best and happiness to health, everyone. And I look forward to hearing from you if I do. If not, all the best.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day.